Good morning, friends. This is Brad with YogaPod. Today we're going to work on our Ashtanga practice. It's a Monday morning, and I always feel like Monday mornings are a little chaotic. Maybe you do too. It's a common feeling amongst most people that have Monday mornings. But today, I think for the next little while, I'd like to work on backbending as far as just a focal point, both in the primary series, which is the series we practice most often. It's also called YogaCheckista, which means yoga therapy. And in that series, what you're working on is you're working on some internal actions, both getting some movement in the hips, creating some kind of like creating mobility in the hips where people tend to be really stiff, myself included, and then also some movement in the digestion tract. So there's a lot of compression and forward folds, and then there's a lengthening of the lower back. And then at the end of the primary series, we have those backward bends, that there's those 5 full wheel postures, or if you're fortunate enough to do where you're working on drop backs or something like that. The second series is called nadi shodana, which means nerve cleansing practice. And the idea there is, instead of thinking in terms of calming the body, calming the mind down in the way that in the primary series, and using those postures to lengthen out and start to remove stiffness, in the second series what we're doing is we're trying to kind of invigorate the vitality of our nervous system. So nadi shodana, nerve cleansing. And so the idea is that as we practice over a period of time, what we end up doing is we end up kind of closing off, or as we live our life, not as we practice, but as we live our life throughout the days, we end up utilizing certain parts of our nervous system that are useful and important to us in a daily life. So as we learn new physical habits, we will really accentuate things like what it means to drive, what it means to sit, and then those nerve patterns will be easily accessible. But then there's other nerve patterns that might start to close off over a period of time. And so with nerve cleansing, we're cleansing out those patterns. We're allowing the nervous system to become more brilliant, more vibrant, more just kind of awakened. And as we do so, we practice a lot of backbends in the second series. And some of those backbends are really, really difficult. Some of them aren't so bad. There's always modifications for all of them. Today it'll be kind of a mix between the modified variations and then also some of the more complex postures, just kind of giving a hint. I always think that like you kind of have to crack the door a little bit and let some light in before you can start to really open up the door. And so there's always that moment when if you're in a dark room, crack the door, suddenly the light starts to come in, and that's what we're going to do a little bit today. Is we're going to let the light in, start to wake things up, and then at the same time we want to make sure that we have like the fundamentals of what it means to do backbending in mind before we start. I like to give the Cliff Notes version, and part of the reason why that is important is that as we are moving into as we're moving through our sun salutations, or those first series of flows that we do, there's an aspect to them that we want to continue to cultivate. They have a purposefulness that we need to cultivate. And so even at that first breath, when the arms come up over the head, we're starting to create the conditions for full body patterns of full body movements. And one of those is the backbending. And so it doesn't necessarily seem like it, but we want to make sure that we're thinking about a full articulation of the spine through our sun salutations, A and B. And part of that has to do with how we uncoil and how we coil the body. And so before we get going, and you can join me in this, go ahead and come up onto your knees, and you can keep your feet back behind you for a moment. We're not going to go into a major back bend. I just want to talk about the nature of our back bends. And actually camel pose is a posture that we'll work with a little bit here. We want to think about these 2 points here in the front of the waist. They create just a couple inches in from the from the outside of the hips towards the belly button, and then a couple inches like the space right between the belly button and the pubic bone. And so there's about 4 or 5 inches depending on how tall you are. And then right in that spot there, right at the center, if we split the equidistance to the outside, you'll have a spot there where the psoas muscle starts to comes underneath the pubic bone, and it draws back towards the back of the diaphragm. And so when we do back bends, the hip flexors are super tight, and so we get a lot of sensation by just leaning backwards. But we also want to think about about the articulation of the spine, because it is a back bend, not just a hip opener. And so one way that I find to like really set the drama for that action is to interlace your fingers behind you. Your hands can be opened a little bit here, or else you could just bring them back. We want to think about a little bit of the shoulder rotation, but that's not necessarily what we're working on. And then from here, there's a lot of booty pop here, so we want to think about pushing our booty back and then taking the tailbone, or then taking the arms long. And so I've got this interesting back bend here that looks like it might feel like it's over accentuated. And so as I do that, I want to then start to take the tailbone and drop it down. So instead of popping it back and letting it just the belly just hang out, I pull the pubic bone back, and then I take the tailbone gently down, and now I'm in more of an Utkatasana form. If your Utkatasana doesn't feel that tailbone tucking down, then we want to work on that. You can draw the inner thighs back. Generally, the hips want to move back, so pull the lower abdomen in. Even the space right behind the pubic bone, tone that muscle structure, draw the tailbone down, and then roll the collarbones open. And so that's a Utkatasana form. Arms can come up, lifting up to the sky with the arms. Again, the hips don't move back. We want to take the tailbone down. We don't necessarily want to squeeze our butt. We want to have the lengthening aspect. The engagement of the glutes and the hamstrings will pull the tailbone down just a little bit, which we want, but we don't want to squeeze and clench, right? That squeezing and clench and locks off that nerve pattern. And so we want to keep that nice and alive. And so with that in mind, when we go into Utkatasana, similar pattern. We're in our Utkatasana, our arms come up. It's easy to let your hips stick out and find that pattern, but instead we want to think shoulders back, rotate the tailbone down, and then Utkatasana from that position. And so there's a lot of action in the lower back that we're trying to cultivate. We'll do some knees, chest, chin here initially in the beginning, so that we can set that same pattern in the body. And so again, second series, but don't be too intimidated about it. We're only going to work on the postures that are most easily accessible for most people, mainly the strengthening postures for back bend. So we're really going to work on those aspects of it. So I think that's everything. Let's go ahead and come to stand at the front of the mat. Bringing your hands to heart center. Let's go ahead and do our invocation. We'll do it together, beginning anew with Om. Deep breath. Mande Gurunam Chardanaravinde Sandar Shita Svatma Sukha Vabode Nishreyase Jangalikaya Mane Samsara Hala Hala Moha Shantiae Abahu Purushakaram Shan Kechakarasi Darinam Sahasra Shirsam Shvetam Pranamami Patanjalim. And from the mat if you're not there already. And think about just before we start out, think about these two bones back in the back bone in the back of the skull. So if you think about tracing the back of the neck up towards the back of the skull, you'll find a bony protuberance there, the occiput. And if you open and close your eyes, you'll feel some movement back there, because it's the muscles that actually are drawn, that help to open up open and close your eyes, and to help to move the muscles around around your eyeball socket. And so there's actually some movement back there that's kind of surprising when you first work with it. When we do back bends, we don't want to think about collapsing the neck back. We don't want to think about that at all. But instead, it's as if we draw our chin towards our chest a little bit, and our ears draw back. So it's if you bring your fingertip right to the middle of your chin, And usually we'll be back here or we'll be up here in different postures. We want to think about taking your chin and pushing it back. The back of the skull spreads out like a cobra hood. When we come into up dog in these forms, thinking about opening up that back of the neck there. So we're right in that spot here. And then thinking about almost like you're pressing in there. So when we come into those back bends, we think about not collapsing back, but we think about lengthening out and then gently drawing the spine long. So even though the chin comes up and you find that length across the front of the body, it's not because we're collapsing back, it's this drawing of the front of the heart long. And that'll help to facilitate that, especially with the tailbone. So we get a long spine, a connected chain of information that goes up and down the spinal column, carrying all sorts of information and goodness. All right, so as we work through our sun salutations, thinking in those terms. So root down into the floor, press through your big toes, pull those muscle lines back, the pubic bone drawn in and up towards the back of the diaphragm, root into the floor. Inhale, the arms come up, and again here, pull the ears back, lift the chin up off the chest, draw the arms back, and exhale, fold forward, lead with an open heart first, and then bow in. Back of the skull spreads out as you inhale, lengthen, lift the chin up off the chest, try not to collapse the back of the neck. As you exhale, step back into high plank pose. High plank pose, press into the floor with your hands. Warm up your hands, warm up your feet, warm everything up, push into the floor. Inhale here, exhale, pressing the breath out, bring knees down, chin down, chest down. So we're now in that Ashtanga form. Think about the back of the neck, press your tailbone towards the earth, lift up your rib cage, roll open. Again, try not to collapse the back of the neck, but pull the chin back, lift up the heart. And then as you exhale, lift your hips towards the sky for your first downward dog. Wiggle if you need to. If you don't need to, don't. About 5 breaths, 4 more breaths. 2. 3. 4. Take one more inhale, lengthening through the back of the skull. As you exhale, press the breath, look forward, step forward, or float to the front. Back of the skull lifts, inhale, chin comes up at the last, exhale, fold, press into the floor. Inhale, rising up, lifting up out of the heart. And then exhale the arms to the side, samastihiti. Find your strength. Inhale, arms come up, lift up, looking up towards your thumbs. Exhale, open heart, fold, press into the floor. Inhale, unroll the spine, lengthen. Exhale, plank pose, lower down, chaturanga, maybe knees down, chin down, chest down. Inhale, pull the heart open, and then exhale, hips towards the sky. I want to do that 3 times. So inhale, come forward into plank pose. Exhale, bring your knees down, chin down, chest down. Now take your rib cage up. This is that Utkatasana form. Same thing here. If your hands were behind you and you're in that Utkatasana, tailbone drawing back towards your heels first. So squeeze tailbone in, waist comes in, and then from here, pull the rib cage up. Roll the heart open, feet draw back, and exhale, hips to the sky. Inhale, unroll into plank pose, knees down, chin down, chest down as you exhale. Back of the skull spreads as you roll the heart open, and then exhale, hips to the sky. Inhale, draw it forward. Exhale, knees down, chin down, chest down, press breath out. Now take the tailbone, lift the ribs, roll the heart open, and then exhale, hips lift towards the sky. Let's do 2 breaths here, inhaling. Exhale, see if you can find a similar action. Take your belly button towards your thighs, and then take your tailbone, hug your rib cage up, in, lengthen the spine, take a deep breath here, inhale. As you exhale, press the breath out, look forward, float, or step to the front. Inhale, sapta, pull the heart open, lengthening. Exhale, folding. Inhale, rising up, hips back, come up. And then exhale, arms to the side, samastihiti, ears back. Ekam, inhale, reach to the sky. And then Dvay, exhale, folding forward, hands down. Lengthen, inhale. Inner thighs drawn back, press weight into the hands. Exhale, chaturanga, dandasana, low push-up. Tailbone dives in, roll the heart open just like knees, chest, chin. And then exhale, hips to the sky. 5 breaths in down dog. 1. 2. 3. 4. Finish your exhale out, bend the knees, float or step to the front. Inhaling, sapta, lift the chin. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rising up, deep breath. And exhale, arms to the side. Drawing pubic bone in and up. Inhale. Inner thighs back. Exhale, folding. Hands come down. Inhale, lengthen. Bring weight into the hands. And exhale, chaturanga, dandasana. Up dog, spread the back of the skull. Exhale, hips to the sky. 1. 2. 3. 4. Inhale. Exhale, press the breath, bend the knees, look to the front, float or step forward. Inhale, sapta, lift chin from chest. Ashtanga, exhale, fold. Nava, inhale, rising up. And then exhale, arms to the side. One more time. Inhaling, ekam. And then exhale, dave, fold forward. Trini, inhale, lift chin. Exhale, chaturanga. Low push up. Up dog. Tailbone dives through. And then exhale. Downward facing dog. Long legs, long arm. Stretch your body long. 1. 2. 3. 4. One more inhale. Press the breath all the way up. Finish out your exhale. Look forward, front of the mat. Inhaling, sapta. Exhaling, ashtanga. Nava, inhale, rising up. Samastihitihi. Utkatasana. To set deep, imagine you interlace your fingers. Maybe you do for this first one. Inhale, tail down, arms come up. Exhale, fold, hands down to the floor, legs straighten. Inhale, pull the heart open, lean weight into the hands. And chaturanga. Up dog, inhale. Down dog. Exhale, gaze towards your belly button as you step your right foot forward. Inhale, rise up, keep the neck long, reach to the sky. Exhale, Ashtanga, low push-up. Inhaling, Nava. Exhale, Dasha, right foot flat, left foot forward. Inhale, unroll, rising up. Keep the tail long. Exhale, hands down. Nava, or Dasha. And exhale, hips to the sky. For 3, Dasha. 13. 1. Feel that vibrancy rolling through the body. Utilizing your breath to calm your nervous system or activate your nervous system as appropriate. It's like a cup of coffee or a nice glass of wine, depending on what you need it to be. One more inhale, back of the heart expands. Exhale, pressing breath out, squeeze your pubic bone back, look forward, front of the mat. Inhaling, Panchadasha. Exhale, Shodana. Set deep, Saptadasha. Inhale, Utkatasana. And then Samastihiti. Ekam. Inhale, arms come up. And Dve, exhale, straighten the legs, dive it forward. Inhale, bring weight into the hands, even if they're out in front of you a foot or so. Exhale, chaturanga. Up dog, skull spreading. Down dog, hips to the sky. Right foot forward, inhaling. Sapta, rising up. Exhaling, Ashtanga, low push-up. Nava, inhale. Dasha, exhale, left foot forward, inhale, Ekadasha, rise up, press into the front big toe, exhale, hands down, chaturanga, up dog, expansion, down dog, hips high, little contraction of the front body, 1, 2, 3. Think about the places in your body where you've kind of closed off your connection or you've kind of ignored because they seem to be doing just fine. Think about waking those areas up. Your middle toe, the ring toe, 4. Finish out the exhale, press the breath out, look forward, front of the mat. Inhale, upon landing, lift the heart. Exhale, full push into the floor. Utkatasana, tail down, arms up. And then exhale, Samastihiti. Ekam, inhale, reaching. Dve, exhale, folding. Inhale, hips back, rock weight into the hands. Exhale, chaturanga. Up dog, down dog. Right foot forward, coil the tailbone down. Inhale, coming up, lots of strength in the front leg. Exhale, hands down, low push-up. Up dog, down dog, right foot flat, left foot forward. Inhale, rise on up, try to push the weight back towards the back leg. Exhale, hands down. Spread the back of the skull, lift the heart, and exhale. Hips to the sky. 1. Inner thighs back. Lengthen the backs of the legs. 3. 4. Finish the exhale, pressing the breath. Look forward, front of the mat. Inhale, lengthen, pull the heart forward. Exhale, push into the floor, tailbone drops. Bend your knees, arms up, inhale. Exhale, arms to the side, Samastihiti. Utkatasana, set deep, arms up, inhale. Dve, exhale, fold. Trini, inhale, lift your heart. Exhale, Chatwari, low push-up pose. Up dog, inhale. Down dog, exhale, pressing the breath out. Right foot forward. Root the right foot, but push the weight back to the back foot. Inhale. Exhale, low push-up. Up dog, inhaling. Down dog, exhaling. Left foot forward. Push weight back towards the back foot. Inhale. Rise up. Exhale. Chaturanga. Up dog, inhaling. And down dog, exhaling. And 1, 2, 3, 4. One more inhale. Finish the exhale. Step forward or float to the front. Inhale upon landing. Exhale, folding. Utkatasana, tail drops, arms up. And exhale, Samastihiti. Anchor the tailbone, set deep. Inhale, Ekam. And exhale, Dve. Trini, inhale, chin up. Exhale, Chatwari, low push-up. Up dog, inhale. Down dog, exhale. Warrior one. Sapta. Inhale. Rise up. Push into that front foot to bring the weight back. Ashtanga. Nava. Exhale. Dasha. Left foot forward. Inhale. Ekadasha. Press in. Navadasha. Chaturanga. Inhale. Trayodasha. And then exhale. Chaturasha. And one. Feel the vibrancy of the spine. Two. Three. Four. And five. Front of the mat. Inhale, lift hard. Exhale, fold deep. Utkatasana. Arms up. Samastihitihi. Exhale, arms to the side. Pause for a full breath. And again, think back of the skull back, chin drawn to back. Feels like the chin is drawn down a little bit, which it is a little as we do so. But feel the neck lengthen out. Feel the tail drop down. Hands to your waist, float the feet apart about hip width distance. Take an inhale, draw the groin back, lift the chin up off the chest. Try not to collapse. As you exhale, fold forward. Grab your big toes. Inhale, pull the heart open. As you exhale, press your tailbone towards the earth. Bend your knees as you need to. Tailbone drawn down towards the floor. Pubic bone drawn back a little bit. Back and up towards the back of the diaphragm. So we want to feel this pulling inward. And then flip the abdomen a little bit away from the thighs. Press your hips back. Bring your weight forward. 4, 5. Inhale, lift chin up off the chest, lengthen. Exhale, hands underneath. Press into the floor. Press into your wrist. Inhale, pull the heart forward. Exhale with strength. Forward fold. Elbows wide. 1. So we're not necessarily closing our throat off in a way that would cause us to talk oddly. Instead, we want to pull our ears backwards a little bit, and then maybe forehead towards your shins. 4, and then 5. Inhale, lift your heart forward. Exhale, hands to the waist, press the tailbone down. Inhale, rise up to the top. Exhale, feet together, samastihitihi. Trikonasana, step the right foot back about the length of your leg, not much further. Rotate on your heels. Let the left hip rotate around. So you're starting to feel side body stretch on the left hip. Inhale again. As you exhale, really extending out. As you do, the left inner thigh pulls back, but the hip starts to open. Right quadricep externally rotates as you find your big toe. Hand can be on the shin or in front. Take your tailbone, hug it in, just like that Utkatasana form. Press down through your back heel. Push with your front leg to shift that weight back. And then roll the shoulders back. Last thing, ears move back, occipital bone moves back, and then rotate your gaze towards the sky. 2, 3, push that front foot down, shift the weight back. 4, and then 5. Inhale, come up, rotate. Right hip rotates forward, but then as you exhale, push into that front leg, pull the hip back a little bit. Left hand grabs for the big toe. Hand to the outside sometimes is good too. Thinking about broadening through the kidneys by pressing your tailbone down. Pull the pubic bone back a little bit and towards the back of the heart. 2, 3. And again, the chin moves back, neck long. 4, 5. Up on inhale. Deep breath. Turn towards the back of the mat. As you exhale, extend the left arm long. Hand comes down to the floor. Spread the back of the skull as you spin your body open. Look towards the sky. If that causes a weird twist in the neck, keep your neck long and look up as far as you can. Roll the right shoulder back. Press into your front leg. And then change. Look down. Inhale. Come on up. Deep breath. Right arms up long and lifted. As you exhale, extending out. Right hand to the outside. Fingertips can be on the inside. And then look up. 1, 2, front big toe pushing down, neck isn't collapsed, lengthen, draw the chin back, 4, and then 5, look down, inhale, come on up, exhale to the front, Samastihitihi, Uttita Parshvakonasana, step the right foot back, a little bit wider step this time, pull the heels in. When we pull our heels in, we start to feel what's going on in our waist. So pulling in, rotate your right toes, bending your front knee deep. So we want to feel that front knee bend, pressing weight back towards the back foot. Take your right hand to the outside, push the front big toe, mound into the floor, and coil the tailbone down. Look towards your palm. There's a natural back bend here. If your butt's sticking back too far, you'll feel disengaged. So take your tailbone through, hug pubic bone back, and really reach. 4, and then 5. Inhale, come on up, deep breath. Feel the squeezing in. As you exhale, bend your left leg, left hand down to the floor, right arm long. Pull the tailbone down towards your back heel. Push weight back to the back leg. 3, 4, and then 5. Inhale, come on up, and rotate towards the back of the mat. I'm gonna move a little bit, rotate forward, then bringing your back knee down to the floor as you need to. The left arm's up and lifted, pull it back, anchor the tailbone, femur straight down. As you exhale, coil in. So we wanna really wrap the body around, squeeze the shoulder towards the outside. The more, the better. Top of the shoulder rotates inward a little bit. It helps us to bring our hand down to the floor, and then right arm comes up. Maybe, if you feel strong for it, push your right big toe mount into the floor, and then lift up towards the sky. From there, reaching. Next option, outer heel on the back leg drops in. 3, 4, and then 5. Look down. Hands might touch, and then inhale, come on up, deep breath, rotate towards the other side. So from there, this time the right arm's up. As you exhale, bend the knee, bring it down to the floor, and that's that extra pattern of hugging in. So we don't want to squeeze across this way. We want to feel the shoulder drop across. So the tailbone, sitting bone drawn down towards the floor. Hands could always come to heart there. And then hand down, coil the tailbone under, push into the front foot, and then inhale, left arm can come straight up, back leg can straighten, or reaching. 1, keep coiling, left sits bone forward. 2, press into your front big toe. 3, 4, and then 5. Look down, inhale, windmill, come on up, deep breath, and exhale to the front, Samastihitihi. Cross Rita Padottanasana, step the right foot back, and then hug the legs in, hands to the waist. Squeeze in, inhale, lift the heart up. Exhale, tailbone dives towards the earth as you fold forward. Palms down, inhale, lift your heart up. Exhale, head down to the floor. Look up towards the sky. If your head touches the floor, try to use it to press your chest through. So it's like you want to create the pulling effect. Lengthening the arms, pushing down at the same time. Push down with your feet. Feel the tailbone drop down, the inner legs lifting. 4, and then 5. Inhale, lift your heart, lengthening. Exhale, tailbone down, squeeze your heels together. Inhale, come on up, and exhale, pause. Roll the collarbones back, lift the heart up, inhale. As you exhale, groin pulls back, squeeze the legs in. Keep your hands here, elbows drawn back. Lift the heart a little bit, throat long, and then as you exhale, fold in deep. It's easy to get into this position and collapse the back of the neck. So let your head go a little bit, pull the ears back. Same thing, the occiput moving back as you exhale, head down. If your head's down, maintain length in the neck. Lift your chin off the chest. And see if you can really draw the leg, the torso through. 4, and then 5. Inhale, come on up, deep breath. Exhale. Arms come out nice and wide. Interlace your fingers. Inhale, roll the collarbones back. As you exhale, folding forward. Roll the heart in.
So drop the collarbones forward towards the floor, drop your shoulders towards the floor, and then draw the spine long. So pull the ears back, and then drop the arms back. 2. Bent elbows will help facilitate the chest opening. 3, 4, and then 5. Inhale, come on up, squeezing the legs. Exhale, hands back to the waist. Inhale, lift the heart to the sky. Exhale, dive it forward. Long exhale, pressing breath out. Reach out, grab your big toes, peace sign fingers, thumbs. Inhale, lengthening. Exhale, elbows wide. Try not to squeeze your shoulder blades. Broaden the shoulder blades. Number 1, lengthen. 2, try to press your chest through your thighs, not by squeezing your ears. Roll them back. Look off the nose. 3, 4, and 5. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, squeeze tailbone towards the floor, hands to the waist. Inhale, come up, and then exhale to the front. Samastihitihi. So to keep that same action here. Take the arms out. Inhale, open up the heart. As you exhale, step your right foot back. Bring your palms together behind the back of the heart. As much as you can, pressing the palms together. Inhale, lift the heart up. Push your front big toe down into the floor. As you exhale, cast it way out in front. Try not to collapse your head down. Instead, push your front big toe down into the floor. Lift your chin so your neck lengthens out. As your neck lengthens out, the skin on the back of the skull spreads. Lift your chin and throat. So it seems like those are two different patterns that can't exist at the same time. And so that's the query that we make. Push into the floor, lengthen the neck, lift the chin up, strengthen the back body, and then change. Inhale, come on up when you're ready. On your breath, rotate towards the other side. And again, push into the front leg, make it strong. Inhale. As you exhale, lead with an open heart, open throat, chin towards your front chin. Easy to collapse the back of the neck. Lift the back of the skull up, and then extend forward. Push into the floor, front big toe. Externally rotate, internally rotate your back leg, and then draw the body long. 4, and then 5. Inhale, come on up, deep breath. And then exhale to the front, samastihitihi. Pause here for a second. So when we're doing the second when we're doing any of the series in the 6 series or 6 variations of the Ashtanga series, we have the beginning and the end of the class are the same. So the finishing series and the start and the primary part of this practice are the same. However, at this point, this is where it deviates. And so instead of doing our standing balancing postures, this is where we move into our backward, into our second series, nadi, shodana. So either roll up your mat, not all the way, we're not done. Roll it up a little bit here so that you can place your heels on it. You could also use a blanket if you have one available. And so from here, this is Paschasana noose pose. So you know all those twists we do in the primary series postures. We're gonna start out with one deep twist here. And so as we move into this twist, we're gonna think about keeping weight back to the heels. Hardest part, your shins might feel like they're on fire after this, which means you need to do it more, right? So from here, bring weight back to the heels. Your legs can squeeze in. Couple of different options. I'm just gonna modify here so that you can see me. Use my little bricky brick here. All right, so that'll actually be pleasant for me. All right, so the hands on the right hand on the floor, and then bring the hand back. We want to feel the tailbone coil underneath us. So even as we come up, we don't want our butt to stick back. We want to feel this coiling action. So the right hand comes back. Lift up the left arm high. As you exhale, dropping your thumb down, coil your lower back in. So the lower back, the tailbone tucks forward. So we want to feel that hugging under, curling in. Hands can come here, can come into this variation here, bring the weight back. Next option, you can take and drop your thumb down, reach around behind you, and reach your other hand back. If you have a hand towel, it can be a good opportunity to utilize it. The next option, which is a little bit more accessible, in a way it's a little harder though, which usually tends to be the case for modifications if they're done correctly. So the left arm comes up, we drop it down, we feel that coiling in the lower back. But if you can't quite grab your other hand, bring it to the other knee, bring that hand back, and then twist open. Try to squeeze your knees in. It's hard. 2, spin the heart open. 3, keep the weight back, tailbone down. 4, and then 5, releasing. All right, so that's a long 5 count if you knew that posture. So we'll work on it here as well. Left hand out, lift up the left arm to the sky, coil, tailbone under, wrap it under. Then take your variation. Maybe you hook the inner leg on the other side, bring your weight back to the heels, and squeeze. 1, keep the tailbone coiled down. 2, neck long. 3, 4, and then 5. Look down, releasing. Then from here, your mat's unrolled, so you feel like you have to unroll it immediately. But release down, pull your knees way up into your chest, coil in, lift up onto your toes, push into the floor, try to pull your feet off the floor, push down, heels might come up, both of them might come up, and then step back or float back. Low push-up pose, chaturanga, or take that as an opportunity to release your mat. And then move through your vinyasa. I'm going to adjust the camera for a moment. Or I'm going to take a moment to adjust the camera. There we go. And then from your down dog, which you might be close, or maybe you took a sip of water, which is fine. All right. So from here, we're in our down dog. Next posture is called crouch asana, and it is just in a very similar way. These 2 postures incorporate a lot of the primary series initial postures, so we're still getting those foundational aspects moving. So we look forward here, and then we're going to float forward, and we're going to keep our left heel beside us. Our right leg, our left heel will go forward, our right leg will be tucked beside us. So bend the knees, look forward, left leg out in front in this form here. All right, and then from that position, sitting bone out, you can take and sit on a brick or a hand towel or whatever you have beside you, okay? Then bending your front leg, if you need to bend it, some people can work it straight, interlace the fingers underneath the foot, and then push your leg up to the sky. And again, it can be done with your hip on the floor. And so there's this tendency here, let the head draw back a little bit. That's part A. We want to feel the chin off the chest, the ears move back, but then we bend the elbows. We don't want to think about just collapsing backward, but we still find strength here. Hold the elbows wide, chin towards your shin. This front leg, push up through your toes. Find some strength there. If you can grab your wrist, or if you did before, then palms open, still pushing in, and then lift the heart up. 3, 4, and 5. Inhale, straightening as you exhale. Squeeze in, hug in, and then step back or float back. Chaturanga, Dandasana, low push-up. Up dog, pull the ears back. Down dog, hips to the sky, bend the knees. Right leg forward this time, so float the right leg forward. Heel beside your hip. Sit on the brick if you need to, or keep it on the floor. Bend your right leg, bring it in. If you need to, you can also do it straight leg, and then lift the leg up. Try to spin the heart towards your left thigh, the right thigh, as you spin in. And then really charge your front leg. Lift it up towards the ceiling. Push your heart to the sky. Lift it up. Try not to collapse into the back of the neck. Try not to just hinge forward. But lift the body up. A very noble expression. 3, 4, and then 5. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, squeeze through your core. And from there, inhale, lift up. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. Up dog, inhale. And then down dog, exhale. From here, we're going to unroll, come into plank pose. and exhale all the way down. So this one is our locust posture, or Shalavasana locust. So the hands, top to the hands on the floor, beside the hips. Chin is out or the chin is in initially, just to set the precedence for the back bend. Then press your hands down. They don't come up, they press down and lift the legs up. Now take the back of the skull, spread it out, lift the chin up, lift the legs up. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Without releasing, bring your hands under. Pull forward, lifting the back of the legs towards the sky. Strengthen the back muscles. Sometimes we think about everything but the back muscles here. 4, and then 5. Chaturanga. Tailbone drops as we up dog. And then down dog, hips to the sky. Inhale, come forward into plank pose. Exhale, slowly come all the way down. Then from here, this next posture is called Bekasana. It's more of like a frog pose. And an Ashtanga variation of frog, nadi pose. Let's go ahead and take our left hand, press it into the floor. Do the right side body first. We'll switch sides and then maybe we'll work on both. And bring your right hand back. So if you have really tight front of the body, this might be plenty for you. If you're able to, however, take your palm down on top of the foot so that you're not just squeezing your toes towards the floor, right? So you want to feel this. That's the next one. Then you can push into the floor and find that back bend. Or take your palm, spin it outward, fingers rotate out, and then bring your palm on top of the foot. And again, push down into the floor. Now with your left hand, pull the heart forward. 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Release your right leg. We'll do the same thing on the left side. Reach back, find your left foot, and then take your palm and press down towards the floor with your palm. You'll notice you're getting a shoulder opening, or rotate your fingers out. And then 1, 2, and again that front arm pushes down, but it pulls forward. 4, and then 5, releasing. Now we can do both legs. Traditionally we would just do the both legs, but we have to make sure that we're in a good spot as beginners. So maybe fingertips reach straight back. If you can do the full bind, do so. We're going to do a Dhanurasana in a moment, that bow pull, that floor bow. So maybe make sure your fingers are back and then lift up. If you're able to spin both hands in, do so. I think I'm going to stay here today. 2, bend the elbows, press your thighs up off the floor. 4, and then 5 to Chaturanga. Exhale, up dog, expansion. Exhale, hips to the sky. Little contraction. Inhale, maintain that contracted state. Lift the chin up and then lower down. And then from here, floor bow. From that action, you want to feel like you're pulling the body forward. Reach back, find your ankles from the outside. Femurs are femur bone width distance apart, which means that they are as if we were standing with our feet directly underneath our hips, so shoulder width distance with our feet. That's how wide our femurs are, not much further. And the toes are just simply the shin bones parallel, so we don't want to squeeze our toes in too much or our knees in too much. We want to keep fairly normal arrangement. And then kick your toes towards the sky. 1, lift your chin. 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Chaturanga. Up dog, inhale. Down dog. Exhale, Parshva Dhanurasana. Inhale, come forward into plank. Exhale, low, all the way down to the floor. And then from here, so revolved floor bow. Find your floor bow. Lift it up. Inhale, and then roll over onto your right shoulder. Kick with your feet. Head can be down. 1. Try to find strength. Kick, and then activate through the back body. 4, 5. Inhale, come to center. Exhale to the other side and kick, 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 kick. Shoulders drawn back. 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Bring it back to center. Inhale, exhale, hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Hands down, up dog, inhale, down dog, exhale. So from here, we'll go into our camel pose. So float your legs in between your hands. So I must kneel forward. Go ahead and come all the way down. All right, so from here, we're gonna do that same Utkatasana back bend with our hands interlaced. If you need to, you can bring a brick in between your heels. And that'll help keep you some distance a little bit. Give you a little something to squeeze, or in between your knees. We want to feel our calf muscles almost like they're pressing outward as our inner thighs drop back, and then tailbone drawn down. We don't want to feel our heels squeeze in too much. We want to feel almost like they're pressing out. We definitely don't want them to rotate too much in. So interlace your fingers back behind you, right? And then take your tailbone, or bring your thighs back. So there's a tendency to come up here and then just start in this position. Bring the thigh bones back, inner thighs back, and then feel your feet press into the floor. Up on the toes if you need to, just for the sake of connection. So thigh bones back. Then interlace your fingers behind you. Coil the tailbone down to the floor. Pull your rib cage up, and then reaching your arms long. Now your hips will start to move out in front. If you collapse in your back, bring it back, thigh bones back, hug the tailbone in, and then from there come on up. Then chin bone rolls back. I'm not sure if there's a chin bone, but the chin pulls back. Lift the heart up. Lengthen the back of the neck, lengthen the front of the neck. Pause there for a moment. Don't go too deep. Lift the heart. Try not to collapse the tailbone towards the earth. And then come on up. Exhale. Bring your hands onto the floor. Pull your knees up towards your armpits. And then step back or float back, chaturanga. So that's just our pre-setup for our Utkatasana. Once you're through your chaturanga, up dog, down dog, then float forward, knees in between. So now the full variation of camel posture. Thigh bones are going to move back again as well. So we're working on a full front body awakening, back body engagement. So there's going to be a squeeze. Because of that, we want to push our hips forward. Not too dramatically, just enough. So inner thighs back. Bring your hands this time to the waist. If you're not sure, interlace your fingers. And then from here, press down with your tailbone. Hands can be at the waist. Lift your heart up. So now my chin is more towards my chest. I'm looking down the center line of the body, like I'm trying to look towards my belly button. Keep the gaze off the nose. Take the ears. Chin pulls back. Keep the gaze off the nose. And then from there, stay there, pushing your hips forward, drawing your thigh bones back, or reach down, find the backs of, or your heels, fingertips on the outside, thumbs on the inside. From that position, take your gaze off the nose and pull your ears back. Push your hips forward, pull your ears back. Try to draw the back of the skull long. 3, 4, and then 5. Inhale, come on up. Exhale, hands down, coil, pull the knees up into the chest, and then step back or float back. Chaturanga, up dog, down dog, and then float the knees in between. And once again, so from here, the next posture is Lagau Vajrasana. It's the posture that I'm least interested in general, because it's so freaking hard. That's basically what it boils down to. The whole front body of the thighs gets a good engagement here. And so we want to think about leaning the thigh bones back as we move into the pose. There'll be a little bit of a back bend. We want to try to make sure that we focus it into the thighs. Tailbone presses forward. We don't want our hips to push back, our butt to push back. So I find that the bricks are useful to help me get into the posture without using too much of my back bend. And so what I want to do here, bring one or both of those in between the heels. Squeeze your legs in. Hands to the waist. Hands can come down to the heels when we get into the posture. Instead of thinking about pulling the hips away, think about getting lengthen the body, tailbone towards the knees, and the hands can do some supporting as well. Hands can also come back towards your calves as it's appropriate to do so. So thigh bones pulling back a little bit. Take the tailbone down, lean back. You should already feel the engagement of the front of the thighs. Lift your chin up off your chest, pull the ears back. And then from here, wait, or bring your hands down towards your heels, draw the elbows in and lean back. Way back. Maybe your head's only a couple inches from the floor. Maybe it's barely touching. 3, 4, and 5. Inhale, come back up. Exhale the hands down to the floor, and then coil, tailbone down, lift up, step back or float back, chaturanga, dandasana, low push-up. Up dog on your inhale, down dog as you exhale, pressing the breath out, bend the knees, float forward, and sit down. All right, so from this position, so as you noticed, we haven't done a ton of forward folding, right? So we've done that in the primary series posture. So here we're working on our backward bend. Now, the full backward bend is full kapotasana, which means full pigeon. Generally, we do pigeon in this half pigeon form. And we think about the compression in the front hip, but really the part of the posture that we're getting in this pose is the back bend on the left side. So as I come into this form here, this is more of a reclined variation, more of a finishing posture in some circumstances. That would be this pose is what the one we're working on, right? Kapotasana pigeon. This is Ekapada Raja Kapotasana when we reach this arm up towards our foot, right? And instead today we're going to work on both legs, both hips. And so that would mean we bring our elbows to the floor and we grab our heels. I don't do that one because it's a long ways away from me. So what I recommend is either doing Ustrasana camel pose for about 10 breaths, which it can feel like a lot, or you can use a wall. I'll demonstrate on the wall here. So if you're using the wall, find a foot or so between the wall, 6 or 8 inches, and it's just like camel pose. Hands here, press the tailbone down. Don't forget about that action. Press the tailbone down, coil it down, draw your chin towards your chest initially so that you have the ability to push the back of the skull. Once you're in that little bit of a camel pose, draw the head up and then bring your palms up. Just like if we were going into a back bend, push up to the sky. If you lose your tailbone, thigh bone's back, tailbone down, lift it up. And then from here, reach back towards the wall. Hands push against the wall. Inhale, push. Exhale, hands walk down. 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 Last one. Inhale, push. Exhale, walk your hands down. And then inhale, come on up. And exhale, bring it down. So there would also be a vinyasa here. I think that it bodes well. It would be smart to do that one again, different posture. Now, if you're able to get all the way down onto the floor by going into your full back bend, coming up can be super difficult. And that's why that second posture is so important, that Lagavadrasana, that's the little thunderbolt, because it charges your legs. So make sure that the front of your body is strong. Think back bends. We have 2 different parts of the body that get stretched. We get it from here down, hip flexors, get a nice stretch. But there's also a stretching of the abdomen that we want to think about. And so as we squeeze back, think about pushing through. Try to lift and lengthen from here, because there's some back bends, like Utkatasana in a way, where we have that action, tailbone drawn down. At the same time, think lengthening the front of the thigh and even into the inner groin. So, all right, from here, push into the floor with your tailbone, pull the ears back. I actually like this action here. Pulling, lift the chin up off the chest, take the tailbone back, thigh bones back, lift the heart up, and then maybe reaching hands onto the wall. Inhale, push. Maybe you can walk your hands all the way down. Maybe not quite. 2. And then pause, push your arms straight. 2. And hold. 3. 4. And then 5. Come on up, inhale. Exhale the hands down. Lift your knees up, coiling. And then exhale, chaturanga, dandasana, low push-up pose, up dog, and then down dog. Then from here, bakasana, crane pose, okay? So float forward and bring it down so your knees are right in between your heels. So there's a posture in between. The opposite of a back bend is not necessarily a forward fold. It is a a twist. So we're going to skip our next twist. We're going into our Bakasana pose because we have a lot of tension in our back from our back bend, and so we want to just let it cue us in on our crow pose. So let the lengthening of your tailbone be really informative here, even if your feet don't come up off the floor, right? So take your big toes to touch, heels move towards one another. Take your shoulders and bring them in between your knees. Squeeze in, lots of tight squeeze there. Now lift your hips up towards the sky. Coil your tailbone down. Lean your body weight forward. Maybe your feet come up. 1, 2. Think about pushing your kidneys towards the sky. 4, and then 5. Chaturanga Dandasana, low push-up pose. Up dog, inhaling. Down dog, exhale, hips to the sky. And let's go ahead and find our way jumping into our camel pose. So from that position, inhale, lift your heart. As you exhale, bend to the knees deeply, look forward, and then float to your crow. Squeeze in. Push your lower back, your kidneys, your sacrum way up towards the sky, but coil your tailbone in. 3, 4, 5, chaturanga, up dog, down dog, and then float through and set down. Legs out in front. We're going into a twist, a little twisted twist, and I'm going to grab a little strap thing. All right. Make sure. Okay, so if you have a strap, it can be useful here. If you don't have one, it's fine. There are modifications. So from here, it's a twist. Our left foot, let it rotate towards the outside, and then bring your right heel either into the inner thigh for half lotus, or for kind of like a half lotus prep pose. Knees drawn out. We're twisting towards the left. We're going to pull the heel up towards your hip crease. If this bothers, take the variation before where your foot's on the floor, or you can take a strap around your foot and then reaching back. Sorry, we're twisting towards the right side. Right, so you can find that. Maybe you can find your toes, right? You can imagine doing this in the first part of the primary series. And then this hand, palm down, twisting open. 1. Try to bring your palm down and then pull up against the palm. Try to lift your heart up. 2. Pulling the right heel back. 3, 4, and then 5. Releasing. Inhale and then exhale. We'll just go ahead and switch sides here. Draw the knee in, switch to the other side. So another variation, if that feels like a lot of posture for you, you can sit on a brick or a towel, heel under, not heel under, brick under, and then bring this knee in. If, however, this is too much and you're bringing your foot up to the thighs too much, if you're on a brick, not the thigh, the foot up to the thigh, you need to be down. Otherwise, then the left hand can come back towards your inner thigh, hand can come towards your other thigh, and twist open. There's a pulling action with the right hand, a coiling of the tailbone under as you twist. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, releasing your bind. And let's take a vinyasa. Cross your shins, plant your hands, pull your knees up to the armpits, lifting the hips up. Exhale, chaturanga dandasana, low push-up pose. Maybe knees, chest, chin. Roll the heart open. Exhale the hips towards the sky. Then bend the knees, float forward, and set down. All right, legs straight out in front. From here, we're going to take just a Paschimottanasana. Reach forward, let your lower back lengthen, let your head be heavy. Now take your right knee up. So this is the next posture here is where things get a little dicey for a lot of people. Leg behind the head. Now, if this is your first time with any of these postures, don't worry about leg behind the head. It's not that important. I don't worry about it almost ever. So this right leg, what we're going to do is we're going to keep our left leg out in front. We're going to lift up our right leg and we're going to pull the foot over the elbow. One way you could think about this is rock the baby. Now we have a tendency to think the leg comes just straight up over the back of our head. What we want to think instead is that the leg shifts out and then it comes back over the back of the skull, right? We want to think in terms of just opening up that form of our twist. So leg comes up, take a rock the baby type pose, and then feel, maybe your hand comes to the outside, feel your foot push into your left elbow crease. As it pushes into the left elbow crease, push out, draw out. Now with your hands, they can stay here, pushing back against your elbow. Feel the outer hip stretch. Your hand can be to the inside. Lift up with your hands, push with your foot, and then at the same time, use your hamstring to pull down. So there's that pulling down action. You can stay here perfectly fine. Stay here. If you have the ability, as the knee draws out, the hip will draw out, coil in, bring the leg up towards the back of the skull. Like I said, I generally don't worry that much about it, especially if I haven't tried it in a long time, okay? So from there, the knee comes up over the shoulder. You can stay right here, or bring your hand down to the floor. Try to bring your foot towards the floor, and then feel your lower back lengthen long. So my elbow's under, my leg is actually pressing my shoulders towards the floor. 2, 3, 4, and then 5. From there, inhale, come on up, lift your leg up to the sky, hold, then left heel under, shift weight forward, vinyasana, vinyasa. Lift the heart up, lift the hips up, float forward, sit down. So these are all modifications here. Right leg drawn out in front, hug your left knee in, and again, move towards that rock the baby form. Pull the heel back, finding rock the baby form. A little bit of movement, and then pressing your foot into your elbow or into your forearm. Lift the leg up. Hands can come together. Pull down with your hamstring strength as you lift up with your arms. 3, 4, 5. Then from here, sling it over the shoulder. Bring your hand down to the floor. Lean forward, not curling down, and then hold. Pull the rib cage through. 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, look up. Exhale, lift the leg up. And then from here, bring the foot back. Vinyasana. Chaturanga Dandasana. Up dog. And then down dog. Float forward, sit down. Lots of back bends there. So generally when we went to the finishing series, we go through 5 more back bends just in terms of time today. Lots of talking and the big back bend. So we'll just go ahead and call those off. But we're going to take our elbows underneath and try to bring your hands down. Take your hands to the outsides of the heels. So pull back with your heel strength or with your hamstring strength. Pull back and then bow in. 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, lift your heart up. Exhale, releasing. And so from here, we can go ahead and lay on our back. We'll take a happy baby pose for a moment. We're not quite in the finishing series. We're in this space of just learning patterns. And so the pattern here would be both legs behind the head. And so because that's a kind of a ways for most of us, we're going to take our foot, our left leg out in front, pull the right knee towards the floor. As the right leg comes down towards the floor, push up against your hand. So my left leg is still bent here. When it straightens, a lot of things change. So keep your leg bent unless you can bring it out in front and straighten it with no problem. Then take the knee out to the outside, pull the heel in a little bit, take your right hand underneath, and see if you can almost sling your shoulder over. Left hand can come to the outside. You can start to move into the splits, right? The split variation here. Legs gone long, and maybe the left leg out in front, push through your leg, or you just keep holding it in. Left leg might move towards straight. At this point, 3. Keep coiling your tailbone towards your front heel. 4. And then 5. Slowly lay back down. Lift the right leg, bring it down. So bending your knees, bring them in a little bit. Lift the left leg up. And then have happy baby. So softening here a little bit can be hard. And then when you're ready, pull the foot in. It's like we're in that rock the baby form for a moment. Bring your shoulder to the inside. Again, we're thinking both legs crossing behind the back of the skull. For most of us, that's a lot. You can then start to straighten out your left leg. Bring your shoulder across. Push through the right leg maybe. Lengthen. 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Gently releasing. Bring both knees up into the chest. And then from here, hands by your ears, rock back towards your shoulders. Roll forward. Progress through your vinyasa. Or you can just come up to seated if you're good with the vinyasas. Extend the legs, Paschimottanasana. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Inhale. Come on up. As you exhale, lay on your back. Tadagya Mudra. 3, 4, and then 5. From here, lift your legs up to 90 degrees, Viparita Karani, so candlestick posture, or if you're up for it, press your legs to the sky. I like to actually come into plow pose for a moment and walk my shoulder blades together as much as I can. Interlacing will help me bring them in. And then hands to the lower back. Lift one leg up at a time. It's traditionally entered all at once, but I find myself in a better form. Inner thighs back. Try not to clench your glutes too much, but push your inner legs to the sky. Think about letting the pelvic floor kind of melt towards the back of the heart. 3, 4, and then 5. Halasana plow. Hips move forward a little bit as your toes come towards the floor. Interlace your fingers, maybe your palms pressed together. Walk the shoulders under a little bit more if you need. You can take and push your toes back so there's more weight in your shoulders, or flip your feet, walk your toes forward, back further, and then push into the floor with the tops of the feet to lift the pubic bone up. 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Karnipadasana, ear pressure pose. Squeeze your ears, sides of the skull, hands spread, and grab the sides of the mat if you need to. 3, 4, and 5. Inhale, straighten, abbreviated forms here. Exhale, bring your lower back down to the floor. Look towards your belly button. Chin can come, or head can come up off the floor. Keep looking at your belly button. Coil your tailbone down. Press your toes down. Lift the heart up. Feel the back of the skull spreading as you draw your head back. Once it touches, feel that pulling. And stay here, or cup your glutes or hamstring. Pulling. Lengthening. Push with your feet. 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Lift your legs up. Lift your heart up. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Lay flat. hands by your ears. Rock back towards your shoulders. Roll forward, cross your shins, plant your hands, step back, or float back, chaturanga. Up dog, inhaling, down dog, exhale, hips towards the sky. Shirshasana, headstand, about 10 breaths here. You know headstand, do so. So one thing to think about in our headstand is that same back of the neck pattern. So we have that same chin down and we pull the ears back. If we lose that and we're here, we have to come out. That compression is not what we want. We want to feel this action. It's the same thing as all those back bends. That compression in the back of the neck, it's not good. It's not really even good to do anything too extreme, but we want to find the shoulder movement in order to facilitate that. So hands on the floor, interlace your fingers, second little finger drawn in. Push into the floor with your shoulders. Try not to collapse in. Push in, walk your knees forward. Lift your hips up. If you feel like you're collapsing the back of the neck, you definitely are. Then from here, take your chin in, pull your ears back. Neck is long. Bring your head down to the floor, right? So bring it down at the very last. Neck is long. Walk your toes. Try not to collapse the back of the neck. Keep the length. If you can keep the length, legs might come up. Press your elbows. Lengthen the back of the neck. 1, 2. Try to draw the outsides of the shoulder blades towards the mat out in front of your gaze. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Inhaling, and then exhale slowly. Feet come down. Interlace your fingers behind the back of the skull or walk your hands forward and see if you can lengthen the back of the neck. Three, 4, and 5. Inhale. Slowly come forward into plank pose. Exhale, chaturanga. Up dog, inhaling. Down dog, exhaling. Float forward, sit down. And taking lotus or half lotus, sukhasana. So, right foot up and then left. So Baddha Padmasana, left hand comes back, then right. Unless you're doing half lotus, then it changes a little bit. So grab opposite elbows. Inhale, exhale, fold forward. Coil the tailbone in, but lift up the pubic bone towards the back of the heart. Lengthen. Pull your ears back. So you have a nice long back of the neck. Lift your chin up. If you can bring your chin down, do. From there, if you can keep your neck long, bringing your head towards the floor. 3. Pull the shoulders back. 4. And then 5. Inhale, come up. Padmasana. Wrists onto the knees. Palms rotate forward. Lift your heart. Pull back with your hands a little bit. Draw your chin back again. So that similar form. So the ears move back. Chin comes in a little bit. 3, 4, and then 5. Inhale, lift your chin up. Now we're lifted up through the heart. Hands on the floor. Utplahiti. Last thing, lifting up. Try to bring your feet off the floor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10. Releasing vinyasa. Step back or float. Up dog, inhaling. Down dog, exhaling. Float through and lay on your back. Float to the front. to stand. If you're on your back, just sit up. Inhale, exhale, folding. Then rise all the way up to the top, or take your knees.
Hands to heart center. We'll close out with our final mantra here. Take a deep inhale, breathe into the back of the heart. The full exhale. One more breath. Inhale. Swasti prajabhya paripalyantam naina margena mahim mahishaha gobrahmanebhya shubhamastu nityam loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Arms come to the sides. Inhale, arms come up. Ekam, inhale. And away. Exhale, fold. Trini, inhale, lift your chin. And then exhale, Chatwari, low push-up pose, Chaturanga. Up dog, inhaling. Down dog. Exhale, taking your time. Feel your body float through. Lay on your back. Savasana. Back, any sort of wiggling done if you need done. If you have any extra tension in your lower back or middle back, then maybe bring your knees up a little bit. Take constructive rest, heels to the outside feet. Kind of pigeon toed in a little bit as your knees draw towards one another. You can also bring a blanket underneath your knees. It doesn't necessarily pertain just to because of the second series, it's just in general. Body melt and dissolve into the floor. So this practice, when we work these back bends, can really be activating for the nervous system. And so our goal here in our Shavasana is to let that reverse just a little bit. Let us move towards a state of homeostasis, or a state of natural breathing, natural heart rate, a place where our body sustains without having to work too much. Our nervous system is neither overly activated or lethargic. Right in that spot, that sweet spot right in the middle. It's an activating practice, and so sometimes it can cause a different kind of energy throughout the day. Pay attention to that. Be observant of any sort of different shapes or forms that your emotional content might be taking. Allow that to be exactly what it is. Try not to make it too big of a deal out of it. It can be the case that a lot of times we will cause our emotions to become a bigger deal than they are, and so let them just be what they are. They're the result of a very vigorous internal nerve activating practice. And so there's something interesting about realizing that our emotional state later in the day is a result of something that we've done earlier in the day. And once we've done that, usually any sort of frustration will go. We'll kind of recognize the basis for it. But it is important to observe that, let it be what it is, and just mark on it a little bit. Think about it throughout the day. See how those back bends are a little more deeply activated. Well, that's it for today. Please rest for as long as you can. Cherish this time for just a couple more breaths, maybe a couple more minutes of release and relaxation. All right. So truly an honor to be with you here today. Hopefully this was useful for you. And I will see you on Wednesday. If not, maybe tonight. And I bow to you all. It's truly an honor to be with you. I bow to you. Namaste.